and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited you could join me today. I thought it would be useful to film a video about process and sales in FreeAgent after I did the FreeAgent demo. This will dive into the sales function a bit deeper. So I hope this helps you if you're thinking about using FreeAgent or you need to improve your sales function. If you're new here, then hi, I'm Antonia. I own Abacus Jack with my business partner Andy, and our mission is to help small businesses get more financially confident and less stressed by lifting and visualizing the data outside of the system so that they understand it and then they can make faster data-driven decisions. At Abacus Jack, we use FreeAgent as our main platform for our customers. So on a monthly basis, for customers who are on a subscription with us, I actually use FreeAgent's recurring invoices features with Go Cardless integration to automatically send out all of my sales invoices every month and collect the payments using a direct debit. All I have left to do is to process the receipts when they come in through the bank and review my reports to make sure everyone who was meant to have paid has paid. For other customers who do one-off jobs with us, we have email templates and sales invoice templates set up so that the actual raising of the invoice is really simple and quick because we don't have time to faff on with admin. If you want to know more about FreeAgent as a platform generally, then check out my other video of FreeAgent in under 30 minutes to see how it all works. If you're here to pay no tax, then you're in the wrong place. But for everybody else, let's get started today by diving into FreeAgent and looking at how to create a sales invoice, how to set your company up, and how to use the automation features to make your life easier. Welcome back to the FreeAgent demo account. So we're in the dashboard at the moment, and before you start invoicing, you need to check that all of your company details are up to date. So to get to the company details, we're going to go to settings, which are found in the top right here. So on an invoice, we want to show our address. So we want to make sure that all the company details are entered here. And contact email addresses and websites are listed here so that you can make sure that people can get in touch with you if they need to. We click back, that's going to take us to template settings, and we have some theme settings. So let's think about the invoices that we're going to create and go into the theme settings. So here we can change the style of the invoice to what we want it to look like, and then we can preview it. So at the minute we have simple in. If we want a nice tranquil one, let's see what that looks like. Don't think I like the puddle, so I'm going to take that one back out. I think I like this one the best, so I'm going to keep that. If you wanted to change any of these, you can just press make default. By going into the company logo, you can upload your logo here, and that is going to come up on your sales invoices every time you send it out. Here we have the price list and the stock. So one of the things that we do that I would recommend is things that you sell frequently, create an item for it on the price list so that every time you send it out on an invoice, you don't have to keep typing it in, you can just select it. And you can also set a default price for that service or that product. So again, that saves you some more time using automation. You can change the quantity into a different explanation of how you sell. So if you sell time and you're a service business, then you might want to use this top. Or if you sell training or you have actual products to sell, you can select here, or you can make it no unit. But we are going to use a service. Here we're going to select the income category, and that's for our own internal measures. So if I wanted to, I could create additional categories and say this is just a compliance type of sale, or this is an Antonia sale if I'm tracking what the team member is invoicing. But for now, we're just going to keep it as sales because that's the standard one. And then the VAT status is standard if you're VAT registered. So now you can see in the price list, we have a service called accounts, which is the statutory accounts, and the total price, which I don't have to enter in every single time. That will just come up if I select it from the price list. You need to add your email in here by saying add a sender email, and then you need to go through the authentication to link the two up by entering your password for your email address as well. And that means when you go into sending emails from FreeAgent, it looks like it comes from your account. You go back to settings, and then we have the email templates. So if you look at the top here, you can see there's different types of email templates that you can create. Then you can change all of the template information in the content to how you want to send your invoices out. So you can set who it always comes from. So it always comes from the registered email that you want, and that might be your personal Antonia Tappan at Abacus Jack, or you might want it to be like accounts at Abacus Jack, depending on how you've got your email set up. Then you can leave this as a tag, so it will put it in the contact email, and it would auto-populate the invoice reference, and you can see all of the tags here on the right hand side if you wanted to use any, and they get populated with the actual information when you create the actual email. So say we don't want the little FreeAgent advert at the bottom, but you could say, if you pay earlier than the payment terms, you can save 10%. So then we can save the template. Also have invoice reminders, because sometimes people don't always pay us on time. So here we have some reminders that have already been set up. So we have a quick send reminder. So when you do a quick send, that's a function which I'll show you in the sales invoices section. But here, you can see here, it's pretty similar to the new invoice email, and it's just got a different title with a reminder and please don't forget to pay this tomorrow. We also have automatic reminders depending on how many days it is until the invoice is due. So this is quite a good one. Send a reminder 4 days after invoice is due and every 2 days after that. So you can configure how often you want it to be sent using this top section here. And then it's pretty much the same sort of format to change how you want this to display when it goes to your customers. And if you want to include the online payment button, which would accept a Stripe payment. Sometimes I've seen with clients that they do like a nice little thank you after an invoice is being paid. So if you want to do that, you can do that here. And you can just say, hey, thanks for paying my invoice, or I really appreciate your business, something like that. And when you mark a payment as reconciled against an invoice to say in FreeAgent that it's been paid, this will automatically go out to the customer to say thank you. Okay, so let's go to the main sales area of FreeAgent, which is called work, and then invoicing. So if you want to create a new invoice, you go to the top right here, the green button, and you say add new invoice. We'll have to select who we're sending the invoice to. So if we've sent an invoice to somebody already, then we'll have them as a contact and they'll come up on this list. If we don't know, we haven't served them before, then we have to click add a new contact and we have to put some basic information in here. The invoice reference is created based on global invoice sequencing, and that just means that every invoice just increments by 1 each time. The invoice date is normally the day that you send it out. And you can set the payment days to your terms and conditions. This is currently set to 30 days, but our invoices are due on receipt, so we change that to 0. We'll have some options here to set up online payments and direct debits. Now this is a really good idea, because if you set up an online payment option with Stripe or PayPal, then that's going to make it easier for your customers to be able to pay you. It's slightly more expensive than a Go Cardless, and it's more expensive than a bank payment. But if you're getting customers who have cash flow issues and they can't pay through a bank transfer, then having this option might mean that you get your cash because you allow them to pay on a card. So if you select this one, that lets you set up Stripe or PayPal, and it'll take you through to a screen where you have to set up a Stripe account or a PayPal account or sign in if you already have one. And then the second one will set up Go Cardless, which handles the direct debits if you want those. If you set up direct debits with Go Cardless, then I'll show you on another screen, but you have to set up a direct debit mandate with them. Then we have the email templates. So do we want to email this invoice automatically? I don't like doing that. I like to have a bit more control. Email payment reminders if the invoice goes unpaid. I would select yes, I want to do that, and I'm quite polite, so I would like to say thank you as well. There's no invoice discounts on this. I haven't needed a PO, but if you do have a purchase order for the work that you're going to do, you can enter that here. And I want the bank details to come up as the current account. Sometimes in FreeAgent you have more than one account, so you just want to make sure that this is set up to the account that you want the money to be received into. And if you're selling internationally, you might want this one selected with the BIC and the IBAN numbers. So we go create new invoice. And this is the default template. So we didn't add a logo in, which is why it isn't coming up here. But once you've done that, that's where you'll be able to see it. It's got the client details here, and that would have more information such as their address and contact details if we would have put that in. But at the moment, there's no invoice items in here yet. So what we want to do is we want to click invoice item. Now, we have the price list available at the top. And if you remember at the start, I talked about adding things to your price list. So when you get to this point, you can do it quite quickly. So we're going to do one set of accounts, and it's pre-populated. It's one service, statutory accounts. Ooh, spelling mistake. £565 sales and create and finish, and it's in there. I only had to press one thing to get all that information in. If you haven't done the step before where you need to add things to your price list and you get to this point and you think, oh, this would be good to go on my price list, then you can click this here, and then that'll be there for next time you need it. You can say create and finish if this is the only thing that we're going to charge, or you can do create and add another if there's something else. So we had a day visit to explain the accounts, and then we create and finish that, and then we have our two items here. We don't have VAT set up on the demo account, but if we did, that would all be pre-populated here at the bottom with the total amount updated there. We have our bank details at the bottom so people can pay in via a bank transfer. And like I said earlier, you can also set up payment services on FreeAgent, so you can set this up here, and this gives you the option to either set up the Stripe payments, the PayPal, or the Go cardless to hopefully get you paid faster. If you want to preview the invoice, then you can save it as a PDF here. Because we've set up the email address and connected it to FreeAgent, I can then send the email directly from FreeAgent. So that's been pre-populated here. We have the client contact information from when we set that up at the start. It's auto-populated the invoice number. It's attached it as a PDF. It's used the email template to put the email in. So all we have to then do is press send email, and that will set the invoice to sent, which means it'll update in our accounts to an invoice that's awaiting to be paid, and it will come up on your profit and loss because it's been issued. So at the end of the month, you can track all the invoices that you've sent by going into work and then invoicing. And then these are all the invoices here with a traffic light system, so you know what's being paid and what still needs to be paid, or what hasn't been paid by the right amount. Using this list, you can check to make sure that you've invoiced everything that you were meant to invoice for the month, or you can use the search function here to search for a contact. So if we go Mad Hatters, we can see all of the invoices that have been issued to them, so then we can check that they've been invoiced that way. Or we can go into the client account, see the invoices and the statement of account to check if they owe us any money. If you want to check who owes you money across the board, across all of your clients, then you need to go into accounting and then reports. And we have this thing called an aged debtor report. A debtor is somebody that owes you money. Sometimes it's also called like an accounts receivable, but basically this one's money in and this one's money out. So this report allows you to see which customers owe you money, how old the debt is, and what the total amount is that they owe you. So to manage the debt from here, what you can do is either click on the invoice, then you could resend it, or send a reminder from here, or you can go into the contact from here, click statement of account, and then you can save this as PDF or then send that by email, and that just gives you the option quite quickly to reconcile the total amount that a contact owes you, and you can send that out relatively easy without major effort or admin time. So let's then start to think about another type of invoice, which is a recurring invoice. So to create one of those, you go here and you need to create a recurring profile. A recurring profile is a customer who is going to pay you every month or every few weeks because they're signed up to a subscription service with you, like a mobile phone provider. So we select which contact that's going to be. The start and invoice reference will be automatically populated based on where we are with our invoicing at the minute. You don't need to worry about that. And then the start date, you might want to change to the beginning of the month. So we might say the 1st of next month. Then you can change the frequency. So you could say every month, every quarter, every year, and you can set an end date as well. But we're going to go every month. Payment term, 0 days. Now here you would want to set up your direct debit, because ideally you want a recurring invoice to go out and the customer to pay it automatically, so the customer doesn't have to think about it, you don't have to think about it, it's just that seamless process between the two of you. We want to email this invoice automatically using my default template, and we create the new profile. Now once the profile has been created, it's still in draft status, you can see, because we haven't added any invoice items. So we want to do one service, monthly accountancy support. We're happy with the bank payment for now. So once we click activate, every 1st of the month, so you can see here the next invoice date in this sequence is the 1st of March, and so on, because we didn't add an end date. This invoice will be created and then automatically sent, and then if the payment is direct debit, it'll be automatically collected, and then all we'll see on our side is in the sales, the invoice is issued, the invoice is paid, and that'll show up in our profit and loss report too. So as you can see, it's not that much more difficult than setting up a normal invoice. And if you have repeated sales interactions with customers, and you can get them onto sort of a monthly recurring payment schedule, then this just saves so much admin time, and it also supports your cash flow, because you know with the recurring income that it's going to hit every single month. It just gives you a lot more peace of mind. So once these invoices have been sent out, then hopefully we get paid and we get some money. So to reconcile that, we need to go to the bank account. And we have our business current account here. Now normally if you have a business bank account, what you should do is click enable bank feed here, and this will automatically pull through all of your transactions. There's no like statement uploads or manually entering information. It just all comes through on a nice organized feed as per the dates. Now in the bank we have a load of transactions, and they all need to be explained. If they're green, that means you've reconciled it to a category already. So reconcile means just categorizing it. So to say if it was accommodation and meals, or travel, or stationery, whatever it was, you're just saying this was certain such contact, and it joins up to this such and such category. And that's important, because when we look at the data overall, then we want to track which categories are more expensive than others, which ones have an opportunity to improve our margins. So when you get a money in and it's a sales one, FreeAgent has artificial intelligence to try and build in who it thinks it's being paid by. So in this section here, it has a list of all the invoices that are waiting to get paid. Because we don't have like a contact in the description, it hasn't been able to match this one up. But we could say that this is a part payment towards this one. So we select the invoice and we click explain transaction. Now I'm going to delete that out, because you might have made a sale to somebody but you haven't invoiced it yet, and you're not going to invoice it. So because this wasn't a big piece of work, this is just like a one-off thing, and they've sent you some money. So you might see this if you have like website sales, or you're on Etsy, something like that. You might have one of these come in where you don't have a sales invoice yet. And from here, you might not have an invoice receipt. You might have a different type of money. So a sale will be if you've sold something which didn't have an invoice, like on Etsy or something like that. Alternatively, if you've transferred money from one business account to another, so say you're saving for tax, that might be a transfer here. It could be a refund. So if you had paid for something at a networking meeting and then you couldn't go and it was cancelled and they refunded the money back to you, then that would probably be a refund to advertising, and you explain it that way. It can be money from you, so if you're the director of the business, then it's money received from a user and it goes back into the director's loan account. Or sometimes we have other money coming into the bank, and it could be an initial debtor, so someone might have sent you a deposit to work on something, but you haven't invoiced it yet because you haven't started work. So that would be here, and then that would stay in there until it gets applied against the invoice once the invoice is issued. Generally, the experience that you're looking to achieve using FreeAgent is for all of these transactions to be orange, because the invoice is being sent out to a contact and then that contact is paid, so that FreeAgent has either picked up the contact name and the invoice number if the contact has listed it on their bank payment. But then if it's orange, it means that FreeAgent has tried to reconcile it and it thinks it's got it right, so then you just have to go through and approve. That's what we're aiming for. So I just want to touch briefly on categories, because at the moment we've lumped everything into sales, and what we can do is add more categories here to separate the sales out into areas that we want to manage the performance of, so that we can see how different services are profitable compared to other services, or which teammate has generated more sales than another teammate. So in here you can press add new income category, and you can select different types of income based on how you want to measure your business, so that when we go into the accounting reports, you can see how the sales categories get split out compared to just having one big turnover lump that you can't really do anything with, apart from see that you had some turnover. So just to finish on like kind of a last financial well-being routine for you, what I would recommend you do every month is you go into your reports, you go into your debtors, you check who's paid you and send statement reminders out if you need to, if anyone hasn't paid you when they were meant to, because if this gets too high, then your cash position is going to get too low. And if your cash position gets too low, then you're going to have issue paying your outgoings, and you don't want to be in a position where you can't pay your taxes or your staff. Once we've done that, we're going to go back into reports, we're going to check the profit and loss, and we're going to track the sales month to month. So we're looking for things like, how are my sales compared to last month? Are they up? Are they down? And if they're down, do we understand why they're down? If they're up, do we understand why they're up? Also, we can check for seasonality. So if we know that February is a really slow month, then we can check it against the previous one. So you can do custom date range here, or you can summarize this in like quarter to quarters, so you can have 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and that can be how you measure your sales as well. If you're measuring your sales, then that means you can set sales targets, and then you can measure the performance against the target, and then again that helps drive the business forward. If you need to deep dive into what sales invoice have been issued, then you can go into sales here, and then this gives you a full list of sales, and you might be able to spot on the date if you've missed any. For example, was there no invoices issued in July? Why is that? Was I away? Did I not do any work, or have I missed something? So that's FreeAgent sales in more detail, so that you can get the most out of your sales process with a system that helps you with automation and giving you access to all of the data. You see that we didn't have to use Excel at all. We didn't have to log into an email client. It can all be done in one system, which saves you time, keeps things simple, and helps you stay organized in terms of your cash flow. So if you need to chase late payers, then you can do that relatively easy. Another great thing about FreeAgent is that you can get it for free. If you have a NatWest or a Metal account, which is the Royal Bank of Scotland app account, then you put the account information in during onboarding a FreeAgent, and then that discounts your FreeAgent fee to 0. and that doesn't go away, so you don't have to pay for it at all, but it's a great piece of software and lots of functionality. The other great thing about FreeAgent is you can get really good support from there. So if you have any questions about FreeAgent, or something isn't working how you expected it to, or you just don't know quite what you're doing, then if you go into the FreeAgent support articles, then there's some really good guidance there on how to use the software, or they have a contact which is support@freeagent.co.uk, and they seem to get back to you pretty quickly as well. So that's it. I hope you found that useful and you've learned something today. But if you have any questions, then just leave me a comment or get in touch directly and I'll be happy to help you. Thanks so much for joining me again today. I hope to see you again next time, and have a great week, everybody.